Meantime, in Jerome Powell's final move as the chair of the Federal Reserve, announcing rates will not be lowered amid growing inflation and rising costs. Powell's 8-year tenure as the chair of the Fed has included public clashes with President Trump due to Powell's refusal to lower rates. National correspondent Alicia Nieves is live from Wall Street. So, Alicia, what happens now?
Yeah, Nichole, the Fed basically did what Wall Street was expecting, not necessarily what Main Street wanted, which was a rate cut to kind of offset all the pricing pressures that it has been dealing with. But Fed Chair Powell, who is speaking live right now in this moment, a little while ago in the beginning of his speech was talking about some of the justification for not cutting interest rates right now. And a big part of that was what we're seeing with energy markets as a result of this war and all the uncertainty that it has caused. We've seen oil prices climb even today, just 6% in the last 24 hours, up well over $100 a barrel. And part of those inflationary pressures just reduce the Fed's ability to cut rates. According to the Fed Chair, Powell here, he talked about the labor market, giving us a little bit of an economic outlook and saying that while it's been sluggish, it's actually held steady. And the bigger concern for the Fed and probably for the American people really is this inflationary pressure and the uncertainty for that. He couldn't talk about, the short-term or even the long-term inflationary picture because part of him, said that it really does depend and hinge on what happens with this war and this conflict. A few of the things that the Fed chair said that I think are notable. First and foremost, he congratulated Kevin Warsh, who earlier today, his nomination to become the next Fed chair, that moved out of the Senate Banking Committee and now moves up to the full Senate to be confirmed likely in the next couple of days here. He reminded people that, obviously this is his last time serving as Fed chair. His term ends in about 2 weeks from now. That the Fed exists to help the American economy and the American people more broadly thrive in economic conditions in the long run. He mentioned the DOJ investigation into him and how that was dropped last week and answered the question that we have been talking about all morning, whether he is going to stay on as a board of governor because his term for that doesn't end until 2028. He said he is staying on and in part because of this investigation. While it is dropped, and he said he's encouraged by that, there is this lingering threat that the DOJ can pick it up at any time. And he says, that's something that he worries about, not necessarily for himself, but really for the institution. He said he is worried that these attacks are battering the institution and really, going against the Fed's nature to be independent, or at least pressuring the Fed and reducing some of that independence. So Fed Chair Powell not cutting rates, but really speaking about this end of an era, at least for him as a chairman, but he will maintain his position on the board as a governor, at least for now. Nichole?
All right, Alicia Nieves with the very latest. Thank you.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.